Welcome to this short video on Project Tracker, software that creates SCurves directly from your favourite planning software. Now what we're going to look at today is importing from P6, so an XER file, but as you can see here that we can import from Asta Powerproject, also Microsoft project, both direct from the software and also via its XML, and the same with P6. So with P6 we can connect via the SDK, we can import an XER or XML files. Now from Microsoft Project and P6, if we were to go along the XER or the XML route, we do not need those applications installed on our machine. So providing you have the file, Project Tracker can import it. So very useful that if someone sends you an XER file and you want to interrogate some of the data, you don't necessarily need P6 on your machine. So you can import your data, view your SCurve, look at certain activities, and run some of your analytics. So I'm just going to go via the XER file here, and as I click on the XER file, I just really need to go off and select my projects that I want to import. You can see here that we can bring in a project and up to 2 additional files. Both of these are XERs, and as I click on my import, my SCurves are in view. Now when we first import the data, I'll just turn a couple of these off just so you can see things a little bit clearer. My red line here, this is our actual data, and this takes us up to our data date. Yeah, so our progress date is shown here, and then coming from it is our target line. Now both of these are customizable. In fact, all of the lines that you see in Project Tracker are customizable, both with color and also style. If I just bring in to view those other lines, so here are our baselines, so the 2 baselines or the 2 additional files that we imported. One is showing us our as soon as possible line, and our bottom line here is our as late as possible. So it's a very simple and very quick way of producing an SCurve. No copying and pasting of data, no dynamic links are needed between your software and Project Tracker. This is nice and simple and quick, and also gives you a very consistent approach with how the data is being used. So rather than individuals going off and coming back with an SCurve for you, this is a standard approach to producing these key reporting SCurves that you're going to need for your project controls. Now with the lines that we bring in, this is what you'd normally expect to see on SCurves, but within Project Tracker we have 2 additional lines that are available to you should you ever wish to use them. The first is our forecast line. Now our forecast line sets itself from the data date, and it is basically saying based on the current rate of progress we expect that you might finish a little bit later. So as you can see, substantially later than what we're planning on at the moment. So it's a forecast line that for you gives you additional information that perhaps you don't necessarily have in another application. What we also have that's unique to Project Tracker is a recovery line. Now this recovery line, when it's first turned on, mimics or copies the target line that we have set within our program. Now with our recovery line, what we can set is, well, at the moment we're looking at finishing on the 20th of May, but if we wanted to finish earlier than that, I can set a date, let's say in March, and my recovery line is now showing us the type of SCurve we would expect to see if we were looking at finishing in March. So it takes your target line and tries to sort of mimic the shape of it, but obviously on an earlier date. Now it doesn't go back into your planning software, it's purely a picture of the type of curve you'd expect to see if you were looking at finishing at an earlier date. And again, that line can be turned on or off. Now when we bring our SCurves in, or when we bring the data across from our planning software, Project Tracker enables you to run SCurves based on duration, cost and resource. So duration is particularly useful if you do not have costs or resources currently allocated within your program. So an S-curve is still achievable. So it's just taking the durations of the activities in your program and producing a curve based on those. But of course, if you do have a cost and resource loaded program, they can be shown here. So once the data is in, you can decide on the type of S-curve that you want to see. So this current one here is showing me how we're performing resource wise against our plan. Now we can apply weightings, so if weightings have been assigned in your planning software, you can bring those through. So we do bring the data in if it's there, and your lines would change accordingly. Now what we also have in Project Tracker is what we call a dynamic status. Now as I select that, as I move my line through my program, it's showing me the current progress, the slip at that particular date, and any baseline values as well. So it's given us additional bits of information all of the time within our project. Now what we can do is that we have an area down here called activity details. Now as I move my line through, it will actually show me the activities that are being carried out at that particular time. So if we're analysing our program, if we're noticing an area of our curve that where we may be showing that we're behind, well, what are the activities that are going to be affected, have been affected, will be affected? All of that data can be shown within your program. Now the data that we do bring in is all of the cost information, the resource information, that's all shown down the bottom here. So again, that can be turned on or off. So there's a few areas on your screen that where things are hidden. That's our activity details. We've also got our raw data over here. So when we import the data, this is all of the information that we bring through. And this information can be exported out to Excel should you need to. So on our home tab here, we do have an export button that will basically take this raw data, take it into Excel. So if you wanted to do some additional work to it in another application, you can do. So that's our raw data. I'll just go back to our settings tab and turn our dynamic status off. Now we saw the activities within the activity details at the bottom here, but we do have a Gantt chart. If I go to my Gantt chart tab and I click into the button here, you can see that it actually shows the activities within our program should we want to. So here's my full bar chart. So these are all the activities in our program. Now it's a little bit small, particularly on larger programs. So if you did want to focus into a particular area or particular number of tasks, you can do so via the Gantt line displayed here. Now we can scroll down. So with the scroll bar here, we can scroll down and also across with the scroll bar at the bottom here. As you hover your mouse over a particular activity, it will show you its current progress. It will also show you its baseline starts and its actual starts and end as well. So all of that information is to hand. As if you hover over the status that we also show in this area here. So we do have a red, amber and green status, but again that can be turned off if you didn't want to show it. Now within our drawing area, you'll see here that there's a number of items that have a red outline around it. So that's our critical path. So those activities brought in from our planning software with zero float are shown on the critical path, and that can be turned on or off as is required. So as our program starts to take shape, what we can also do is we can look at period graphs as well. So you can see here that we have two. We have our target graph. So based on the duration S-curve, it's showing us at the moment work that we've carried out, and also where we think the work is going to be done in the future. So this is showing me in September of 2014 we're looking at doing 91 days of work. Now if I bring my baseline into view, it may show that we're looking at doing 91, but our original plan Our original baseline showed that we were doing 84 days in that month. So again, it's given us some really useful information, good things to analyse within our program. The axis slice that we've got here, you can see it better in months, but if you wanted to take it down to weeks, you can do so, and also down to days. So particularly if you're working on a slightly smaller program, you might want to take it down to a smaller area. I'm going to leave that at months for now. Now this data is useful, but what you may want to show is a data table at the bottom. So this is a new feature that we put into Project Tracker. If we just look at the lines that are available, so there's 8 available to you. You can decide which ones you want to see and which ones you don't. So if you've got your planned and your actual, we can put all of those in. So again, based on the type of S-curve is what you'll see here. So again, it's showing on my planned and my actual work in that particular time. If I change that to cost, so I'm getting a planned and actual cost. So it's like a mini histogram that I'm seeing here. Within our data table, we can set the data to be cumulative. So if I click on OK, so rather than show me what the monthly spend was, it's given us a cumulative spend. So again, it's customizable, and you can decide what you want to see and what you don't want to see. We also can set specific week numbers, so if your week numbers start on a Sunday, you can change it, or a Monday or whatever. And also if you're working, say, to a 53-week reporting period, you can set them in here. So our week numbers at the moment by default would repeat themselves every 52 weeks, but you can set it to whatever you need. So I'm just going to take some of this data off for now. I'll take these off as well. Now, just finishing off in this particular section, you can decide where things are shown and where they're not. So for example, we've got our progress values. If you want them on both sides, you can do so on your on the axis. And also with the data that we have available to us at the moment, by default is set to baseline 1, but because we've imported 2 baselines, and you can see here that this data will change according to which baseline we have selected. So we can show comparisons against both baselines. We have a progress report that is editable should you need to, but this can be printed. As you can see, it can be saved, so again can be taken elsewhere. So this shows a very basic progress report as to how you're performing at the moment. So a text-based report rather than the graph with the S-curves. The scope that we have here, so when we import the data from P6 and the other planning applications, what we do is that we bring in the WBS, we bring in the project structure. We also bring in, where applicable, we bring in, if you bring in a portfolio of projects, so a single XER that has a portfolio of programs, we bring all of those projects through and would be structured over here. So what this enables you to do is to run S-curves on a specific part of your project, or an individual project that's part of a portfolio. So it's very flexible, very powerful, and very customizable as to the data that you see over here. Now we also bring in activity codes, color codes from your planning tool, and also resources, be it permanent resources and also consumable, so material resources as well. Now just by clicking into a particular area of my program, you can see here that the S-curve would appear on in here. So it supports a multiple selection. So if I wanted multiple WBS, multiple projects within my portfolio, Project Tracker will handle that. So it's just a very simple click, and as I take them away, it goes back to the program. And then I can look at specific trades. So if I want to see how my roofer has performed, or going to see him and give him an idea of the type of work and the rate of work that we need from him, I can show via this scope selector. So this is select on multiple resources. So I'm looking at my three codes that are selected here are then shown in the right hand side. and then resources as well. So eventually you can, if you wanted to get really clever, you could have a particular WBS with a particular code and particular resources allocated. So you can select a number or multi-select through that scope selector that we have over here on the left hand side. So a very powerful part of the program. Now for presentation purposes, we can print directly within Project Tracker. So if I go into my print settings here, I can set issue dates, revision dates, etc. I can change all of those. I can also import a logo should I need to. So back in my preview section here, there you can see there's our logo. So I can now print this off. So I can print it directly from here, either as a PDF or straight to the printer. But what we also have, you can copy this as well. So by clicking the copy button here, it saves the SCurve on view to the clipboard, and you can then paste that into Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So another application that you can that you may want to include the SCurves in a particular report, for example, so you can still take the data away and use as required. Those are the main features of Project Tracker. I hope it's given you a good overview of how this software is developed. We believe at Wilmer that it is a powerful and a useful tool that, as I said earlier, gives a consistent approach to producing SCurves. It's quick and it's also very efficient. Thanks for your time, and please get in touch if you would like more information. Thank you.